Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be back amongst you. I am JP III, formerly of VNsNow.com, and that's a whole story. And this is the demo for Winning Hearts, Wrestling Otome. Mind the story before we even start because the people involved are very good friends of mine, and it's a subject that I rather enjoy. So please do not expect me to be impartial. I'll be honest, but I won't be impartial. I'm not going to be honest with you. Christy, aka Husband Goddess, and Jasmine, aka Katie133, are two phenomenal people. The links are in the description for both of their work, so please check them out. And I have been looking forward to playing this because this is professional wrestling was a thing I nerded out on a lot in the day. So this should be a lot of fun. And it's just a demo, so we won't get too deep, but it should still be fun. Let's get to it. First, we got to create us. Oh, you have a vitiligo option. Nice. Died. We're going died. Yes, that'll work. What's the main character's name? In the tradition of a great man, Ogu Pigu. Those who know. You recently started listening to a wrestling podcast on Optify, the hottest audio streaming platform in the world. The host is enjoyable, and you can't help but feel pulled in by her excitement. She's definitely one of those people who can read you the phone book and you'll still be entertained. A new episode of her podcast was just released, so you decide to take a listen. The story you're about to listen to is a little strange. After all, the world of wrestling is weird. I'll be your narrator for the story, Jenna. I'm assuming Jenna is supposed to be British. I will not attempt a British accent. This tale takes place in Liverpool, England. Liverpool is a hotspot for wrestling. However, at one Liverpool promotion, Next Generation Wrestling, that's where careers go to die. Now, NGW is a wrestling promotion in Liverpool, England. It's been around for a couple of years and is run by Ronnie, a millionaire who has no idea what he's doing, although he likes to think he does. This is where our protagonist, Ogu Pigu, also works. In a few lines, you'll find out how crappy this promotion is for both the fans and the people who work there. Our protagonist is Ogu Pigu, my best friend. Her actions will determine how this tale ends. Now, I won't spoil how the story ends. You're just going to have to listen to this podcast to find out. I hope that you enjoy this story, whether you're a wrestling fan or not. With that out of the way, let's get into Ogu Pigu's story. And welcome back to Next Generation Wrestling. During the commercial break, Slip was able to get the upper hand and put our beloved Zorro in an ankle lock. The hold has been locked in for a few minutes now, and the audience is waiting with bated breath to see if our beloved Zorro is going to tap. If he does, I think we might see the crowd start to throwing chairs at Slip. I doubt that would happen. That would imply that the audience cares about the match to react like that. Oh my god. Backstage, members of the crew, including my awful boss, are watching the match unfold on one of the mini-screens. Although the main focus should be on the match, my eyes can't help but wander to the empty seating area behind the two wrestlers. It's become a bad habit of mine that I haven't been able to kick yet. Zorro's crawling to the bottom rope, itching for some hope to get out of Slip's brutal ankle lock, like Hercules trying to escape Hades. Will he reach for the rope? Of course he will. He always does. We've been through this same song and dance already. Will Slip finally get his first win in GW? Oh wait, we already looked at that. There's a story behind that. Just as the other commentator, Walter, says that Zorro is able to get his pinky on the rope, which means Slip will have to break the hold. And never mind. Walter sounds so defeated, as if he's given up hope, trying to get the audience and hope to care about this match. Despite the odds, Zorro was able to get his hands on the bottom rope. The ref is trying to tell Slip to break the hold, but he refuses. Is he trying to break the man's ankle? With her commentary partner tapping out, Jenna is forced to pick up the load and exude even more energy, which I didn't think was possible until now. Someone has to care about this match after all. Once again, I can't help but look towards the seating area. That is an interesting way to draw abs. I'm just going to throw that out there. Out of the handful of audience members we have, maybe about 20% of them are actively paying attention. All of them being little kids. The adults in the arena don't seem to care at all as they look down at their phones. They pay money for tickets, and even then they can't be bothered to watch. What does that say about them? What does that say about our product? It reminds me when I begged my parents to take me to a puppet show starring the beloved Nino the Narwhal. Even though my parents paid money for all three of us to go see it, me and the other children were the only ones engaged. I'd taken a long, deep breath. It's okay, Ogu Pigu, it'll be fine. You need to stop worrying. Maybe the audience will jump for joy when Zorro wins. For the third time in a row. Maybe? And a swift kick from Slip's right leg to Zorro's chest. Did you hear the sound that kick made? Even Helen Keller could have heard that. Is this the start of Zorro's downfall? Will NGW's beloved hero lay down in defeat? Jenna, you know to never doubt Zorro. We've seen him go through 3 tables at once, one of them being on fire. There's no stopping a fox when it has his eyes on something. You're right, Walter. Zorro does whatever it takes to survive. Zorro manages to knock Slip to the ground with the fox's grasp, aka a backbreaker. Slip suddenly dropping the ring echoes throughout the entire venue, causing some audience members to look up. However, not all of them. Now Zorro's, oh, what's this? What is Zorro doing? Zorro's stumbling to climb up to the top rope. Are we going to see the new horizon? And Slip's just getting up, trying to collect himself. That fox's grasp must have knocked the wind out of him. Nice. This is why I'm biased. I won't deny that. Good to see you guys. And yes, that would definitely be us. We would be the only ones paying attention at NGW. Thanks, guys. When Zorro gets to the top rope, the entire crowd, even the kid who was looking at his phone, looks up to see Zorro pull that 450-degree flip. And of course he does. For the first time in the match, the crowd shows some emotion. Crowds cheering and gasps echo to the noticeably small venue. We were told we would be able to eventually afford a much bigger arena to host our shows at. It's been over a year since my boss promised the crew that. As I think about that forgotten promise, Zorro goes for the pin. 1! They're already saying it. The masked luchador, Zorro, stands tall over his opponent as planned. And Zorro takes the win over Slip. Is this a premonition of what's to come in 2 weeks at NGW Revolution for the brand new NGW belt? I swear to God, Jenna, if you called the NGW title a belt one more freaking time. Ronnie grumbles loudly into the headset like a deranged dog. If Slip can't pick up a win soon, he could kiss that title goodbye. Or maybe even his career. You know, you would think Zorro would be happy he got the win. He is the face of the feud after all. However, his eyes betray him. He looks disappointed. Does his victory even matter when barely anybody cares? It's belittled even further when he picks up a victory against a guy who's a jobber and hasn't won a damn match in his entire NGW career. A jobber is someone who is constantly losing, for those of you who are not up on the wrestling slang. And Slip's supposed to be our heel in this feud. He's supposed to be a threat to Zorro. Constantly losing removes any credibility that Slip could possibly have. A term to describe the bad guy or villain in professional wrestling. Their goal is to get booed by the fans and pose a threat to the good guys. In this story, Slip is our heel. And the thing, these two are going to be fighting again in a few weeks for the title. A jobber heel and a face who are both getting dragged down by the same song and dance. Face, a hero or a good guy in wrestling is called a face. Their goal as a face is to get cheered by the fans. In wrestling, feuds are between a face and a heel. Although there have been times when feuds had two faces going up against each other or two heels, although aren't usually as engaging. In this story, our wonderful Zorro is the face. What was already a small crowd gets even tinier due to a group of people heading straight for the door. I'm assuming it's us. Not even giving Zorro the time of day. However, before the camera can focus on it too much, it quickly cuts to a small group of children cheering on Zorro. They're all wearing his mask, which we are selling at a huge discount. This isn't fine. Ever since I was a small fry, all I wanted to be was a wrestler. When I grow up, I want to be a wrestler. Every morning over breaky, they say, "Oh, she's supposed to be British." I'm not going to attempt the accent. I told my parents that my mom, being the protective parent she was, couldn't hide her worry. "Sweetie, are you sure? Why not be a doctor?" I said I want to be a wrestler. With my mom's soul, she was just only looking out for her only child. But there was nothing she could say or do that would change my little mind. There's something magical about professional wrestling. Seeing wrestlers come down the ramp with kick-ass music accompanied by an obscene amount of pyro as they rush into the ring to put on an amazing match, as if it was their last, still to this day leaves me speechless. No one has been able to replicate what professional wrestling can do. When I become a wrestler, I'm going to have fire in my entrance. Oh, and a ton of fireworks going pew, 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 pew. You can do that without the fire. But it wouldn't be the same without the fire, babe. Don't encourage her. Despite my mom's worries, both my parents wanted me to pursue what made me happy. If that was a career in wrestling, then they were okay with it. But because I was a girl, I wasn't allowed to take wrestling classes. Something about the boys being too tough for me. No matter that reason, it was a load of bollocks. So my next best option was to go to the gym to get stronger. I even took up gymnastics classes to work on my flexibility. Every passing day meant I was a day closer to having my dream of becoming a professional wrestler realized. But that's when I learned, just when things are on the up and up, that's exactly when life shoves a middle finger right in your face to bring you back down to reality in the most painful way possible. One day, some stupid snot-nosed brat told me I sucked and that I'll never become a wrestler unless I became cute. But according to him, I was too butt ugly for that to happen. I told the twat that I'll show him how good I could be by doing a kick-ass double flip, because that's how much I don't suck. Prepare myself for the flip on the balance beam. Super me didn't think, hey, maybe you don't do that because you might fall and hurt yourself. Maybe do it on a padded floor instead of from a height. But that's the thing about being a kid. You're stupid. Facts. So I attempted to flip, however my foot slipped as if the beam was covered in butter and I fell, landing on my leg, which resulted in it being twisted like a spaghetti noodle. Ugh, boom. During the course of their careers, wrestlers endure a lot for their craft. On a weekly, sometimes even daily basis, they put their bodies on the line to entertain the fans in attendance. Concussions, torn pectoral muscles, bruised bodies, torn ACL, and maybe even break their ankle after a botched baseball slide. Some of these injuries, and by the way, those are all things that have happened, if anybody's wondering. Some of these injuries can heal after months and months of therapy, but others, they can be career enders. Mine was a dream ender. Even after all the physical therapy, I still walk a little funny. However, when I spent all those nights crying to myself as my parents expressed their worries over the dining table when they thought I was asleep, it fueled me to find a new dream. Maybe I couldn't be a professional wrestler, but I could do something else in the industry. A creative writer for a wrestling promotion is what I wanted to be when I realized that all the great storylines in wrestling were, in part, thanks to amazing writers. I honed my writing, spent time after school with teachers, begging for feedback as if my life depended on it. I invested 4 years and a ton of money in uni to get the degree I needed to just apply for the job. Then, after rejection and rejection, I landed a job with Next Generation Wrestling. To this day, I can remember the utter joy I felt when I was told I would have so much freedom, that I'd be the one who would help skyrocket these wrestlers into stardom. I was going to be important. Then I started actually working here. Once again, reality came crashing down on me like a sack of bricks. All right, Ogu Pigu, what do you have for us? It was my first day on the job as a creative writer. Every week, the creative team and the booker, who is also my boss, Ronnie, come together to discuss ideas for upcoming shows, storylines, and new gimmick ideas we may have for the talent. Excuse me. Booker is someone who is in charge of setting up matches and writing storylines in a wrestling promotion. Bookers can also be in charge of recruiting and hiring talent. New talent. With Ronnie being the owner of NGW, him being the booker makes sense, though how good he is as a booker is a whole different story. I jotted down a bunch of ideas tonight before, eager to present them to everyone. I think we should have a women's tournament to determine who will win the NGW women's title. This will help us dedicate more time to the women, give them a platform they need to show off their skills, and prove that they are just as good as the men. Matches last about 10 to 15 minutes, and our finalists should be Mrs. Perfection and Kanako. Mrs. Perfection's graceful movements will perfectly clash against Kanako's hard-hitting style. Why do we need a women's tournament? His tone was pointed, as if I just insulted his family or something. Ronald, with all due respect, Ronnie. His tone was pointed enough to make my coworker shaking his boots. Slowly, the air in the room had shifted from the normal working atmosphere you'll get in meetings, professional and maybe a bit boring, to something tense and dreadful. Ronnie, with all due respect, I think Ogupigu's idea is great. Both the fans and the female wrestlers have been asking for more airtime. This would be perfect. We don't need a women's tournament. Plus, who would you have winning the title, Ogupigu? Kanako? Really? You'd want Mrs. Perfectionist to lose to Kanako? I believe I was calling her Mrs. Perfection before. What's the big issue with Mrs. Perfectionist losing? For the past 3 months, she's been on a winning streak. One loss isn't going to hurt her whatsoever. Plus, whoever is the one to put an end to her streak will have their value elevated tenfold. It's a win-win situation. I agree with Ogupigu. Theo, a producer, trainer, and possibly one of the few sane people here, chimed in. Producers do everything. They help wrestlers get ready for their matches, plan storylines, give feedbacks to wrestlers on their matches, and relay any information to various parties. Often, producers are former wrestlers, which Theo is. I gotta ask later. I gotta ask in person later, but I'll ask now whether or not Theo is supposed to be an XP for William Regal, because it sounds like he is. Seeing someone who's been in the business for a very long time come to my aid brought a smile to my face. Kanako can work in the ring, and she has the charisma that a champion needs. She's beloved by the fans, and the internet loves her too. Do you know how rare it is for a wrestler to be universally loved? Not to mention, she's been here day in and day out. Her dedication to this company should be rewarded. If we don't capitalize on her now, we might not get another chance like this again. Ronnie groans, pitching the bridge of his nose. What's so bad about Kanako winning the title? No. Kanako being champion won't work at all. Kanako, at best, is a B+ player. Heard that before. Mrs. Perfection. Oh, there it is. Mrs. Perfection is the face of the women's division. Not only does she have the in-ring presence, she also has the looks. A term to describe someone who's good but isn't good enough for something. In this case, Ronnie is saying that Kanako is a good wrestler, but she's not good enough to be considered championship material. It's similar to when your boss praises you for all your hard work but doesn't think you're ready to be promoted for whatever reason. Looks? What does he mean by that? Ronnie, what do you mean she has the looks? She's beautiful. She's great to look at. Kanako? Not so much. Wow, dude. A huge factor in whether women got featured on wrestling shows was her looks. Whether she was a good wrestler or not was relevant, as people in charge believed that only looks matter. If you look at matches from the 90s to the early 2010s, you'll see that an overwhelming majority of women's matches only lasted a few minutes. Sometimes the female wrestlers were in matches where they had to wear lingerie. Crazy, right? It was interesting times. Thankfully, the industry is starting to take female wrestlers more seriously, and now they're being hired for their prowess as a wrestler instead of how pretty they are. What the hell? Are you kidding me, Ronnie? Theo slams his hands down on the desk and gets up on his feet, ready to lunge across the table and kick Ronnie's ass. For starters, Kanako is not a B+ player. Second, are we really going to decide who should be the champion based on how they look rather than their talent? Listen, just because an incredibly small vocal minority wants Kanako to be champion doesn't mean it's the correct decision. We'll have a match at Hellscape between Mrs. Perfection and Jade Torres for the title. Mrs. Perfection will win, obviously. So we're going to keep pushing Mrs. Perfection at the top store while we leave the rest of the division by the wayside? Theo could also be Fit Finley. Like, Finley was a huge promoter for women. That's one of going back to the glossary, one of the biggest changes to how women got more respect in the industry, especially in WWE, which is the larger company, is because of folks like Finley. Mrs. Perfection is talented. I don't see the issue here. God damn it, Ronnie. That's not the issue here. Theo darts across the room, getting in Ronnie's face. I'm not denying Mrs. Perfection is talented. The issue is that we, or rather you've, given her all the spotlight. She's in a match every week. She's featured on every pay-per-view. And she's won the Women's Championship over 10 times. Jesus. Pay-per-views are a type of paid programming where the viewer can watch an event via private telecast. Think of a boxing event with big fights. The prices of a pay-per-view differs between each company and the event. Some pay-per-views can be cheap as $29.99 or upwards of $59.99. Some wrestling companies do offer a streaming service with a much cheaper alternative if you're a wrestling fan. Plus, think of all the movies and shows you can watch with that subscription. Facts. We need to give the other women in the division a chance to shine. Holding a tournament and giving someone else the title for a change is the answer. Theo, you best not raise your tone with me. I know what's best for this company, and I don't appreciate that you think otherwise. If you truly think that, feel free to leave so I can sign your termination papers. Is no one going to back me up here? All the writers look down at the mahogany table, refusing to acknowledge Theo. Should I speak up or stay quiet? Screw it, it's a demo. Screw you, Ronnie. Ronnie, with all due respect, I agree with Theo. Ogu Pigu. Ronnie leans back in his chair and smiles at me. However, it isn't warm. It's a little menacing. We have to move on. We can't spend all day talking about one feud. Mrs. Perfection is winning the title at Hellscape. End of story. I sink into my seat, feeling powerless in the situation. Theo shoots me a concerned look before sitting back down. So, we're all in agreement about Mrs. Perfection winning the title at Hellscape? Everyone in the room except Theo and me nods. Alright, let's move on to the feud between Tyron Maverick and Ali. We spent another hour planning future shows, but I came to find out that all those hours spent in meetings would sometimes be for naught because Ronnie had a tendency to change things last minute. 2 hours before a show, time to rewrite the ending of a match. All my precious time wasted. After the meeting was done, I remember Ronnie pulling me aside while the rest of my colleagues left to go home. Ogu Pigu. Yes? I know you're new around here, so I'm not going to be hard on you. He drapes his arm around my shoulder. You see, I have this vision for NGW. Other promotions have lost sight of what true great wrestling is. But me, I'm different. NGW is different. I want you to follow me around for the next few weeks and take note of what I say during meetings, so you can see my vision for this place. Then maybe you'll start pitching good ideas. I mean, I can kick you in the balls too. That'll help, I think, a lot with morale for the company. Okay. To this day, I still don't know what's so funny about my idea. Fast forward, and here we are. We're holding shows to almost no one. Our ratings are plummeting, and oh god, don't get me started on what people have been saying about us online. They say they've been brutal about our promotion is putting it kindly. It's all because Ronnie has this skewed perception of what great wrestling is, and anyone tries to speak up against him. Well, let's just say many great talented wrestlers like Hanako have been pushed to the undercard and are classified as lower card workers even though they deserve to be at the top. Just like boxing, wrestling has something called a card. Think of the card of the hierarchy with 3 tiers. Top of the card, mid carders, and lower card workers. If you're at the top of the card, typically that means you're a top star and your match is usually the main event, or the second to last match. In Kanako's case, she's a lower card wrestler. That means the matches are usually put on first and last 5 to 10 minutes max. She also won't get as many matches as other wrestlers who are placed higher on the card. Some of us have to go to a promotion that would treat them better. A lot of writers have walked out that door too. And I can't blame them. I mean, who would want to be treated like crap every day? And that's a wrap. Good work, everyone. Once the copyright logo flashes on the screen, our broadcast ends. The assembly team heads out to the ring to clean up the venue. Zorro makes his way into Gorilla. He's wearing that pitiful look on his face. We look each other in the eyes, which causes my heart to break for him even more. Gorilla is a part of backstage where various crew members watch the action. A bunch of monitors are displayed, showing the different camera angles. There's also where wrestlers exit to go to the ring. True. He quickly breaks eye contact and heads towards the back, potentially towards the locker room or maybe to grab what's left from catering. Eventually, Slip emerges. He's wearing a bright, toothy smile, his energy rivaling the intensity of the sun. Great job out there, Zachary. Taking off his headset, he pulls Slip into a hug. No, thank you for the great opportunity, Ronnie. Just keep giving me more appealing material, and in time, the audience is going to eat my gimmick up. Good one, pal. That pun was horrible. Well, with me, Zachary. I want to talk to you about a couple of things. Oh, sure thing, boss. Sibley's gorilla with Ronnie, and I swear I could have seen Slip's smile disappear from his face. Maybe it was just my imagination. I've never seen him not smile. Ogupigu. Hearing that all too familiar voice, I look up to see who else but my best friend Jenna. Are you hungry? I'm dying to get the last bit of catering. All I had out there was some darn icy blast, and my doctor told me to stay off of soda for a while. Listen, if we don't show those drinks on air, we'll lose out on that precious sponsorship money. And frankly, we need all the money we can get right now. Still, we could have wagered for something a bit more healthy. Guess not. The two of us grab what's left in catering and sit down at the only comfortable couch backstage. We talk about everything and anything. Apparently, a bunch of ladybirds are infesting Jenna's flat. Ladybirds is British slang for ladybugs. Also, did you know that killing ladybugs is illegal in the state of Connecticut? The developer behind this game's mom found this out after a bunch of ladybugs infested their home one spring. Wow. And the exterminator said, I can't kill him, love. It goes against my morals. Bloody hell, you're in the business of exterminating things. What do you mean that you got morals? Maybe you should ask the ladybugs to help pay rent. Jenna point her salad fork at me. The Caesar dressing barely missing me. Now that's an idea. This brain is full of great ideas just waiting to be heard. I just wish Ronnie felt the same way. Jenna gobbles down the rest of her Caesar salad. You did a great job on commentary tonight, by the way. Thanks. Wish the old man thought the same way. He was screaming in my ear all night over the smallest things. Maybe you shouldn't have called the title a belt? You know how he is about that. Listen, it's a belt. It wraps around your waist like a belt. Title just sounds weird. I mean, do you wrap a title around your waist? I don't see the queen wrap her title around her like a tiara, wrap her title around her like a belt. I'm sure you can't wear an actual royal title around your waist, Jenna. Exactly. Well, enough about me. How's backstage tonight, old Gupigu? Same old, same old? Did you talk to Ronnie at all about the Slip and Zorro feud? I promised Jenna that I would sit down with Ronnie, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Well, it's more like I refuse to get around to it. Talking to Ronnie is like going into a haunted house that's actually haunted. Do I dare risk my life, or should I stay away even if I might be able to solve the problem? If I try to talk to him, I'll lose my job for sure, but if I don't, what will become of the rest of us? I spent countless sleepless nights trying to decide on what to do, and still haven't come up with an answer. But should I really vent to Jenna about all that right now? She just got off work, and I really don't want to be a bother. But at the same time, I don't know how much longer I can keep this bottle in before, I eventually have a breakdown. About that, Ogupigu. And you know what the worst part is about all this? You're supposed to be able to go to your boss and tell them your issues without worry. But you can't do that with someone like Ronnie. I would have gone to HR, but I doubt they would do anything, especially if it's an issue that involves the man who signs their paychecks. Come on, say something. You're scaring me. I don't know what to do, Jenna. I haven't been able to work up the courage to talk to Ronnie because I know if I say something, it'll cost me my job. But if I don't say anything, the very rest of us I'm being credited for writing the storylines will have their careers ruined. I mean, you're out there. You see how the crowds have been reacting to Zorro and Slip's feud and their matches. It's like we're performing in a bingo hall. It's deathly quiet. Feud's not that bad. It is. Zorro doesn't have a character. Sure, he's super talented in the ring. But that's not all there is to a wrestler. You need to have a character. If you just act like a solid protagonist like he does, how can people cheer or boo you? That's true, but hey, they reacted to Slip at least. That's because they genuinely hate the guy, not the character he's pretending to be. He's getting go-away heat instead of normal heat that a heel will regularly get. If you're playing a bad guy in wrestling, you want to do anything to get heat. Heat refers to a negative crowd reaction like boos. However, go-away heat is something you don't want. Go-away heat is a term used to describe when a crowd generally hates a wrestler, not the character they're playing. They'll boo the person to oblivion and chant obscenities at them. This can happen for a multitude of reasons, from a wrestler being a genuinely awful person in real life, or their character being so horrible that fans go to hate the real person and don't want to see them anymore. That's also true. It's not normal for fans to chant "jump into River Mercy" at a wrestler. How is anyone supposed to take Slip seriously when its entire gimmick revolves around being a banana fanatic? We're not in the 80s anymore where a turkey can hatch out of an egg and have that be considered decent content. Yes, a man dressed as a turkey did indeed hatch out of an egg in 1990. He will later reappear in 2020 at a pay-per-view for whatever reason to win a championship for an incredibly short duration. Wrestling is weird. Facts. It's 2022 and people want to see real written characters and great storylines, not just garbage that Ryan is pushing out. If the storyline ends up being a piece of shite, you know who's going to take the fall? Not Ronnie, but Zorro and Slip for not being able to make garbage into goddamn gold. And then they'll blame me for ruining their careers because I kept saying yes to Ronnie's stupid ideas and writing what he's basically telling me to write. After I share my midlife crisis with Jenna 15 years too soon, it's not unnoticed that I'm crying. I wipe away the tears with my sleeve. Oh, goopy-goo. Jenna wraps a comforting arm around me, pulling me into a side hug. I'm so sorry. It's fine. Jenna passed me a few times on the back before breaking the hug. Is it though? You basically just had a breakdown in front of the entire crew. In this environment, it's nothing they haven't seen before. You know, if you don't, you know you don't have to keep enduring this crap, right? You could quit anytime you want and get rid of the giant headache. I've thought about it. Well, don't be afraid to quit. Quitting doesn't make you a loser. You know that, right? Well, under most circumstances, like in sports, yes, it does. Helgu-pigu. But yeah, I know what you mean. If it ever becomes too much, quit and find somewhere else to work. You deserve only the best, Helgu-pigu. Even if that means we won't be together anymore, I'll support you because your well-being trumps everything else. I can't help but crack a smile. Thanks, Jenna. Helgu-pigu. There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. Jenna turned around to an out-of-breath crew member. Poor guy. He really must have looked everywhere. Ronnie needs to see you. And the despair is back. Fantastic. My best friend and I exchanged looks. Hers is one of concern, while mine looks like I just shot my pants. You gotta be kidding me. Nope. Helgu-pigu. You got this. And hey, if you survive, we can go out to the Cavern Club and I'll buy you a drink. I just might take you up on that. I'll be in the locker room if you need me. I'm going to talk to some of the talent and see if they want to appear on my podcast. Jenna gave me one last encouraging smile before I walk in the direction of what I feel like is certain death. We got there. All right. That's all for this particular episode of the demo. When we come back, we have to deal with an asshole. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. And VNsNow.com. It is VNsNow.com. Wait, no, it is not. I need a new outro. I'll see y'all in the next one.